Hi, everybody. My name is Diane Bator, and I'm a local mystery author right here in Dufferin County. Um, I'm really proud today to be presenting for the Orangeville Public Library and Community Living Dufferin's storytelling series. This is my second time doing a presentation for the storytelling series, so I'm so happy to be back. You guys are such a great audience. Um, I've been a mystery writer for a few years now. I have 10 novels published, and my publisher is BWL Publishing out of Alberta, which is truly ironic because I moved from Alberta to Ontario and then got a publisher back in Alberta. So go figure. Um, my latest book is Drop Dead Cowboy, and it just came out June 1st of this year, right amid the whole COVID thing. It was supposed to come out in September, and we were really planning to do a book launch in October, but it came out a few months ahead of time because of scheduling and the fact that I had it ready to go, and my publisher was really happy for that. Um, my other newest book, Dead Without Shame, came out in January of this year, and it's the fourth book of my Gilda Wright series, which is a mystery series based in a karate school, which is always lots of fun. Um, I'm one of those kids who read everything in the library, and I have issues walking past a bookstore nowadays without having to go in and sniff the books and check all the covers and see if there's anything new and exciting. Um, my bookshelves at home are totally packed, partly with my own books, which you can see a few of them behind me, but I love to meet other authors and I love to promote other authors. So one of the things I've been doing lately with my own blog site, which is dbator.blogspot, is promoting other authors. And I've been very fortunate to, as being a part of Crime Writers of Canada, as well as Sisters in Crime, as well as a local writing group, I've met a lot of different authors. And I think I'm at about 45 authors that I've been able to feature on my blog since last September. I'm getting close to that magic 50 mark, which I'll have to think of something fun to do to celebrate that. I've been a writer for a very long time, and one of the things I could never quite figure out what genre I wanted to write. And genre can be very particular. You can do mystery, you can do romance, you can do a blend. You can do sci-fi, sci-fi mysteries, sci-fi romance. There's no end to what kind of genres you can mix and match and have fun with. There's no rule. You can take your favorites, mush them all together, and just have fun with it. That's what writing is all about. It's not meant to be drudgery, because if it's really hard work, maybe you shouldn't do it. Um, I have fun with it. I can sit and I've trained myself through being a part of the Headwaters Writers Guild here in Orangeville. I have trained myself to sit and write in 15, 20-minute bursts and just write, not edit, not think, not worry about scratching my nose. I just write. And that is actually how a lot of my books have been written, is little bits at a time and moving forward with the story every time I'm writing something. And that one of the great ways to get into that habit is there is it's called NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, every November. There's websites, there's Facebook groups. You can encourage other writers and write, even though I'm in a different part of Ontario than a friend of mine. She actually encouraged me to do it this year, which resulted in this book. The goal is to write 50,000 words in 30 days. So the month of November. And we actually did it. She would encourage me. I thought I'd be the one poking her along, but she encouraged me really hard to get this book finished. And then you spend the next month, or after Christmas, you spend the next month editing and cleaning it up, and If you have something great, that's wonderful. If all you did was write, that's what the goal is. It's not about getting a book. It's about just writing and making it a habit. And it's easy to fall out of that habit if you don't do anything for a week or two at a time. With COVID, one of the things I found was the first month, I found it really hard to be creative. I had an awful time, but I was able to edit, which is why I was able to get my book finished earlier than normal and to my publisher. So that was a good thing for me. And that little bit of encouragement of having the new book being published, it kind of got me through. So after that came out, then I felt more like, okay, most things are normal. You know, yes, we're online. Yes, we're doing Zoom meetings all the time. We're doing video chats like this. But there's a lot of things that are still pretty normal in our lives. So for me, being creative is one of them. And once that book came out and I had it in my hot little hands, my first order of books, which was about 12 books, was gone by the end of the week. I had people phoning me saying, I really want that book. Do you have copies? And they would meet me at the end of my driveway. So I kind of was looking around, making sure there was no police watching and thinking I was doing something really bad. But I got rid of all of my books, well, except my couple of copies that I keep here all the time. How I got published to begin with was kind of fun. I had joined a writing group here in town, and I also joined an online critique group. And the online critique group, I found one lady in particular that I really liked how she critiqued things, and I really kind of valued what she had to say. So I actually reached out to her and gave her my very first book, which turned into The Bookstore Lady. And she gave me a really great critique, gave me a lot of great advice, and told me when I was finished with all those edits to send it to a lady named Dawn Dowdle. And Dawn, it turned out, was an agent. So I ended up getting my first agent through a critique group, which was very weird, but for me it worked out wonderfully because Dawn ended up finding my first publisher, which was BWL. And so here I was, a Canadian author with a US agent and a Canadian publisher. And it worked for about a month, and then my agent went, this is just too much paperwork. So she stepped back out of the picture, and I've been working directly with BWL now for, oh my goodness, since about 2010. And they're fabulous. I love them to pieces, and they have published all 10 of my novels so far. And I have many more on the shelf that they're more than happy to take. Once that was over, my agent was also representing another series that I had written, and I had a different publisher out of California. That worked for the first 2 or 3 books, and then the publisher decided I wasn't quite the right fit for their company. So I had a message from my agent on a Tuesday afternoon at 10 to 4 and saying they're giving back the rights to your books. They don't want to publish them anymore. And I was upset for about 10 minutes. And then I messaged her back and I said, do you know of a publisher who would take them and redo them? And she said, no, you know what? Just self-publish. You're better off. By the time I got home from work that day, I had reached out to BWL and asked them very nicely if that was something they would be interested in doing, was to take those books and republish. By the next morning, I had an answer. I had a whole new publisher lined up for those books. And over 2018, I re-edited, we redid the covers, and they were all re-released. And that was my karate series, the Gilda Wright series. Freshly done. Book number 4 just came out, and no sign of slowing down for those ones. So what I'm going to do, because I've been talking a lot, and if you hear any very weird noises in the background, it's my cat who wants to go outside, but it's a little too hot for him today. So So I'm going to read to you a little bit from Drop Dead Cowboy. And this is a part from, I believe, chapter 1 was what I marked. And hopefully you get a taste of what I like to do. While Mary Lee and Charity chatted about the weather and the upcoming festival, I studied the voodoo doll. It resembled my dad, right down to the blue jeans and plaid shirt someone painstakingly stitched to the rough burlap fabric. They'd even tacked on a white mustache, just like he used to wear. Why would somebody make a voodoo doll of my dad? I'm going to see Miss Lavinia, I announced. I'll be back soon. Mary Lee winked. No worries. It's not like the store will go anywhere. I grabbed my winter jacket, even though Miss Lavinia's shop was only a couple doors down. I already had a chill sneaking through me, and I wasn't about to freeze to death on some little burlap doll's account. As I opened the front door, a brisk wind hit me smack in the face. It forced me to suck in a quick breath. Sure enough, out on the bench in front of Miss Lavinia's shop sat a young man dressed in faded jeans and a matching jacket. He had to be freezing in the autumn wind, yet his fingers strummed and plucked the guitar strings as though he hadn't even noticed the temperature. Curious, thanks to Mary Lee and Charity's gushing, I walked around him as though I were going to cross the street. Beneath the brim of his cowboy hat, he was handsome, in a rugged way. His hands were rough and weathered, and his face held a fading tan as if he had worked outdoors all summer long. The cowboy seemed to sense my gaze on him and glanced up. Good morning. Hi, I cleared my throat. That's a beautiful song you're playing. Did you write it, or is it just one I've never heard before? Right on both counts, ma'am. He bobbed his head. Ma'am. He made me feel old yet respected. I both liked him and hated him in one fell swoop. Well, it's beautiful. He grinned, flashing perfect teeth beneath the gray-blue shadow of a mustache. Thank you. I gained a wee bit of courage. Are you new in town? I don't recall seeing you out here before. I would definitely remember hearing you play guitar if I had. Just passing through, ma'am. I shivered as the cold wind swirled around us, and I had no idea how he stayed warm in the wind, or comfortable on the wooden slats of that bench. Well, that's too bad. Your music is lovely. Anyways, I better get going. Have a great day. You too, ma'am. The cowboy bobbed his head again. This time something on his hat caught the rays of the streetlight and glimmered. It looked like a round pin of some sort. I glanced around before I headed toward Miss Lavinia's shop and paused to check out the window display. Just as Mary Lee said, it was filled with shrunken heads and voodoo dolls. I gulped. One of the dolls looked like me. A strip of fabric from my favorite blouse, a piece of blue that looked like a skirt I used to have, and a curl of auburn hair. I shuddered and entered the shop before I could dwell on why someone would want a doll that looked like me. Good morning, Audra Clemmings. Miss Lavinia's voice reminded me of one of the three witches in a Shakespeare play I'd seen once. Cackling with wit was how Rex once described her to one of his work colleagues. Good morning, Miss Lavinia. I entered the shop slowly to let my eyes adjust to the perpetual dim lighting. I didn't know you had such a wide assortment of dolls in the window until Mary Lee told me. I guess I've been too distracted to notice. Voodoo dolls, Miss Lavinia said. I know you saw yours. I saw the surprise on your face. How do you like the one of your husband? I'll give you a good deal on it. I'm sure you could have lots of fun at home with it. Oh, I was tempted. Possibly. Are those things for real? I mean, I've heard of them before, but do they really work? Well, that depends. Miss Lavinia patted the countertop in front of her. How much of a pain is your husband these days? He still hasn't stopped snoring, and he still won't talk to his doctor about his sleep apnea. I yawned. Oh, man, between him and the dog, I'm running on fumes some days. Miss Lavinia smiled. Have you tried a pillow? I frowned. He already has a pillow. There was silence in the store, save a water feature to my right. Suddenly it dawned on me what Miss Lavinia meant, and I gasped, No, I could never smother him. Just a thought, Miss Lavinia shrugged. Now what can I really do for you? I placed the doll of my dad onto the counter. Did you make this? Miss Lavinia didn't even touch it. All dough white. He was your father. Yes, I made this after he came to see me about a pain in his back. Wait, I stared at the doll. You made a doll of him after he had the pain? Of course. She leaned on the counter over the doll. How else am I supposed to gather the necessary bits and pieces to heal my patients? I see them, then get bits of hair and clothing for the spells. After I treat them in person, I can use their dolls for a follow-up. It's cheaper that way. I narrowed my eyes. You treat the dolls? Miss Lavinia left my father's doll on the counter and walked over to the window. I followed at a distance. She plucked Rex's doll from its spot and handed it to me. Ew, no! I handed the doll back, expecting... I had no idea what to expect. Anyways, that is Drop Dead Cowboy, which I do hope you check out at some point. Excuse me one second. This is my noisy boy. This is Jazz. And from both of us, take good care, stay well, and we'll see you real soon. It's a pleasure to be with you again.